Hey guys, welcome back to Real Love Scenario.
Woo! Welcome back. Hey.
We are sorry for the technical difficulties that we had.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
sometimes the devil be trying to hold you back, right, Rhonda?
Real
When
bad.
you be
Real
trying to
bad.
be great and the devil be trying to hold you back, but we ain't gonna let him hold us back
We
today.
not. And God said he's gonna fight my battles. I'm not sure what happened right before this, but I'm gonna talk to him about it a little bit later. Believe you me.
You doing all right, Rhonda?
I'm doing okay. I'm happy to finally be here. I'm happy that I worked through most of my technical difficulties, but I'm good. How are you, friend?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Cannot complain.
Good.
Blessed and highly favored. And today is a special day because we're going to have our first guest to join us on the virtual who could give us some great advice. Definitely
Yeah.
friends that's going to, make this conversation a really good discussion. So we're super excited about it. But before we get started, we need to shout out our real lover for today. Make sure if you want to join the Real Lover gang, that means being part of the Real Love Scenario crew. It's free to
Yeah.
you, but means a lot to us. You just got to subscribe, like, comment, do all the things to join the Real Lover gang, right?
Yeah, all the
All
things,
right.
like, just do what Dre said every time and share it. Like, it's really important. We're building community, and so the only way we can do that is if you share, share, share. So please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
Right. So I'm gonna show you how easy it is. We're doing our Real Lover shout out right here. This is on YouTube. This is from DT. I'm gonna just say just divine. That's all I'm gonna say.
It that works. That
That
works.
works, right? This is
Mhm.
a great conversation and so real. And there's a YouTube comment. That's what I said. We don't need a lot. We don't need much. If you
Just a
felt,
little something.
if you wanted to say hallelujah, you can say hallelujah. You know what I mean? We okay with the amens. Thank you, Jesus. Stand up, wave your hand, keep going. Take your time. We'll take all of them. Like
We
just
will.
it don't got be it don't gotta be a
Yes, we
lot.
will. Yes, we will.
No, but if you want to join our Real Lover gang, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and join our online community by going to relationshiprestore.com/community. So now that we got all that out the way, today is a special day because, like I said, we have our first guest that was joining us virtually that we feel like going to add to the conversation. We're going to do this a lot now that we're virtual. We can have more people on. So I'm super excited.
Mhm.
Rhonda, who we got? Who we got coming up?
We have two very beautiful ladies. That's just scratching the surface. Their outer appearance is just scratching the surface. Both very accomplished, beautiful women from the inside out who we had the pleasure of meeting years ago, connecting in this relationship space. They are wives, and they decided to create a beautiful platform called Marriage Pinnacle, which very similar to Relationship Restore is all about the positivity as it relates to romantic relationships. They are bringing you education. They are bringing you real lived experience as wives and married women. So I'm so honored to introduce the ladies of Marriage Pinnacle, Dr. Lara, baby, and Mimi. Hi, girls.
What
Hey
up?
y'all. Hey y'all. Hey y'all.
It's
Welcome,
just crazy to
welcome.
think like
Thanks.
how this whole relationship began and like, to see the
Literally.
growth on both of our platforms and everything that
Literally.
we're
It's
Yes,
doing
crazy.
and to be in this moment right now. It's really cool.
Yeah. Very surreal for
it
us.
Absolutely.
Very
is.
surreal.
Thank you so much for having us. We like really look up to y'all and everything y'all
Yeah,
do with
Oh,
Relationship
please.
Restored. We really do. In real life scenario, we love your platform.
definitely do.
And so we are so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you
Mhm.
for
Thank
thinking of
you. Thank
us.
you for joining us. Listen, this is so cool.
Absolutely.
Our inaugural virtual guest. And like I said to y'all, it's been a long time coming.
It
So,
has been.
and
It
anytime we
has
get to
been.
connect with people in this space that are all about the healthy relationships, and
Yeah.
we're going to keep it real. We're going to talk about the mess when we have to.
Have
But
to.
ultimately, we're trying to get to healthy solutions. So it feels so good to have y'all in this space with us.
We're
For
excited to be
sure.
here. Thanks, guys.
And what a great time to come because we got a doozy for you today.
Let me tell you something. I said,
We
Dre, I know exactly. This is perfect. I know the exact hookup on this that's gonna work it out. So, ladies, y'all
we
ready?
Ooh wee. Yeah.
Y'all ready? Okay.
Ready.
Real lovers, I hope y'all are
ready.
ready. As
Ooh,
always,
child.
drop in the chat where you're joining us from, city, state. We want to shout you out a little bit later in the show. And we love when you engage. So be sure to leave comments. Tell us how you feeling about what we talking about. give us your thoughts and insights. We like when you talk back. So please, please do. All right, let's jump into this scenario. It's a little bit of a lengthy one, so stick with me. She says, my best friend seems to have it all: a successful career in medicine, a passion for fitness, an online presence as an influencer, and now, unfortunately, a marriage. Last year, she had a gorgeous Nigerian wedding with her partner, who is also a doctor. Fast forward to today, and it appears her husband is unfaithful. Prior to their marriage, they were in a long distance relationship, and I cautioned her that she might not know him as well as she believed. However, in her culture, marriage is often viewed as essential, so she went ahead. Now she has come to me in distress because the other woman involved has been relentlessly reaching out, providing evidence of their affair. This includes screenshots where he refers to her as the love of his life, expresses a desire to start a family with her, and even voices where he confesses that, even sends voice messages where he confesses he no longer feels attracted to my friend and has no intention of being intimate with her. To complicate matters further, my friend is facing challenges with infertility. So we have a an involved mistress and a lot of emotional turmoil. I told my bestie this is Jehovah's way of giving her a golden ticket to move on and find someone who actually values her. I suggested she consider divorce to avoid being tied to someone who is unfaithful. Yet, like so many Nigerian wives, she seems to be holding on to this unhealthy relationship as if it's her only path to happiness. She's even undergone surgery in hopes of conceiving. My greatest concern is that both she and the other woman may end up expecting at the same damn time, which is a reality show just waiting to happen. We agree, bestie. I've done
Child.
everything I can to help her realize the reality of her circumstances, but I'm exhausted at this point. What else can I say to make her dump this cheater and move on with her life? What advice would you offer to a friend? And for Dre, what would you say if this was your sister? Woo!
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Insane.
Yeah.
Well,
That
we always
is.
say thank you to all of our real lovers for writing
Yes.
in, because obviously
Thank
you're writing in
you.
because you need help. And sometimes we just need some encouragement, even when the answer seems obvious, right?
Yeah.
So we just need to go through this breakdown, help our real lover out, and hopefully at the end of this, they got something real to take away from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Rhonda, where you want
Yeah.
to start?
I think it's important to really talk about the fact that number one, this is the best friend writing in, and
Right.
that love is its own, relationship. And I've been there, and I think we probably all have been there, like
Mhm.
being friends with someone and you're looking at them like, what are you doing? Or why are you doing this? Or
Yeah.
why can't you see how bad this is for you? Lady,
Mhm.
have you had this experience with any of your friends? I'll start with you, Mimi.
Not directly, like at least not in marriage, but
Okay.
in dating, like of course, yeah, like you see that with your friends and their men are outside doing whatever they want, and it is really hard to watch. So I do empathize with the friend, like you said, it is hard to watch your friend make decisions that you just would not make. Because I know when we looked at it earlier, my first reaction is like, oh, I'm going to your house and I'm packing your bags for you. Like we're leaving together. Like
Yeah.
there's no conversation, there's nothing to discuss. We're leaving together. And because it's like it's torture, right? Like at that point, like you're getting voice notes, and like what is left, right? And that's just your immediate perspective. And Lara's typically my balance. That's kind of like
Calm
let's
down. Let's go through the steps first before we
let's
make any
not blow let's
decisions.
not blow everything up all at once. Like
Yeah.
let's talk through it. So go ahead, Lara.
I mean, I thought it was very interesting that this one had to do with our Nigerian brothers and sisters because
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can relate. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that this is kind of the tale as old as time where we've seen generations past go through it. We've seen our parents' generation go through it, our
Mhm.
generation go through it, where it's that balance between wanting to be married, the shame of getting divorced, being in love, all of these things, and then having to make a really tough decision, right? And
Mhm.
one thing I will say is
Yeah.
this is the best friend talking. So for me, yes, the red flag is there. run for the hills. But I still would want to know from this woman's perspective, like, is it really that bad? Not that bad, but like, is it really like all that meets the eye? Number one.
Yeah.
Like culturally, there was a couple things that was said, the wedding, the fact that they were long distance. Me and my husband were long distance, and it is difficult. Like, you have to make sure that you know a person
Yeah.
before you make any steps like this, right? Like, you have to, is this person, what are the values of this person?
Yeah.
Myself and Memi, we talk about, like, we're Christians, right? And so a lot of those values got to be there before we're even
Mhm.
taking any steps and taking any steps forward. We don't know any of that. I see that the girl has voice notes and all of that stuff. Do we know if those are real? Or, so there's a lot of questions that are running through my mind with this. A lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it was a lot to really like dig into. Dre, I know you have thoughts on this particular question, so I want to make sure I ask it right, right? Because one, as a man, I think your experience is obviously a little different, and I think that sometimes we need that tough talking to from the brother figures in our lives, our guy best friends that can really sit here and look at you. And let's just consider the fact that potentially everything that the best friend is mostly true. Let's say it's
Right.
85% true. Let's say she's putting a little bit on it. When you think about this, like, why do you think people get in these situations and just stay? Like, when you have all the seemingly the signs to go, right? Cheating, it's not even a feeling. You have tangible proof. It's been sent to you. You and he's saying a lot of things. He wants to walk away from the relationship. He wants to have a baby with the mistress. It was flags before the marriage. When you're talking to your homegirls and you're like, It's all the stuff is there. Why do you think it's so hard for them to see it?"
I think it's a mixture of a lot of things, right? It's so
Mhm.
funny though, because it's like a lot of things run through my mind. Like, we got to look at both sides of everything, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
it's like sometimes on one side, we get mad at people or judge people for leaving a situation so quick, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
you made vows. Why are you getting divorced? So every marriage ends in divorce. But then on the other side, if somebody's staying through the things and trying to work it out, then why you staying? Why you going through it, right? So it's like
Yep.
that balance of what is the right space time to really leave and when is the time to stay. Because if you
Mhm.
talk to those people, a lot of them who's like, I've been married 30, 40 years, they like, we've been through some
You've
things,
been through some
right?
Yeah.
things.
We've
Yeah.
been through some things, right? And we had to find our way out of it. I think that, it's hard to find that balance sometimes of when do I push through and stay because I made this commitment and vow, and when do I decide to leave? And you want to always feel like you gave an honest effort, right,
So
before
true.
leaving. But the thing is like, there's also this other element of it. I remember my uncle used to always say to me and my cousins, he was like, I ain't buying two toasters. So he was like, if I go to the wedding once and buy a gift, I ain't buying another one.
Another
Like,
one.
he used to always say, I ain't buying two toasters. But it's like that embarrassment, right? Especially
Yeah.
if you made a fanfare of this wedding, like it was huge,
Mm-hmm.
it was
Yep.
big, it was Instagram worthy. You're an influencer, like your brand is built around this relationship and upholding this view of what perfection appears to be in a relationship. um it's embarrassing to,
Mhm.
quite frankly, to just like say it didn't work out. And then also, not even that it didn't work out, but I am losing my husband to another woman. Like, that's even
Mhm.
more
That's so
embarrassing,
sad.
right? You feel
Mhm.
Yeah.
inadequate. There's stuff you're probably internalizing, like,
Yeah.
I didn't do enough.
Your
What's wrong with
ego.
me? Your ego is
Mhm.
hurt. Like, there's probably so much involved in that. And then I always tell people, like, if you marry somebody, I don't care how bad a situation is described to you. A lot of times in this modern day, you've had good times, right? So a lot
Absolutely.
of times
Yep.
you are thinking of those good times. Like, we were good at one point. Like, we had fun at one point. We
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed each other at one point. So if
Mm-hmm.
you know that that was a part of your relationship at one point in time, you're probably now trying to figure out, how do we get back there? Because it was there one point. So how do we do that? So that's probably a lot of the reasons that you're sticking around and
Mhm.
trying to make it work. And then you're also, we talked about this in an episode previously, it's like you're grieving the person you thought you knew. So you're trying to unmarry yourself from the idea of growing old with this person, having kids with this person, you know, having whatever, vacations, all these things with this person. So I could imagine it's going to take some time to first just in your mind realize like that thing I thought it was going to happen and that fantasy that I had is just not going to happen anymore. Like it's going to take some time to digest that first. And then you got to go through all the steps of grieving and all the steps of like, how do I separate? Because this is a marriage too. It's like, that's not easy to break away from. That's the reason why marriages are marriages, because it's like, it ain't easy to just bounce legally, all those different things. So it can be tough. And then she said her friend is a doctor, right? Did she say, okay. So she has her own career and stuff like that, but who knows what their life looks like and what breaking all that apart may be. So I understand that it could be a tough decision, even though with everything described, it's a lot of other elements in there that would make you a little hesitant to leave initially from just a human nature standpoint.
Yeah, you hit so many good points, Memi, and I'm so sorry for mispronouncing your name earlier. I want to talk about like when because I've been to 2 Nigerian weddings, one with Lara, and we had a time, baby. We had a time. But I want to, for those who just don't know, right? Like all of the richness that is in the culture of a Nigerian union and a Nigerian wedding. Give us a little backstory as to why it is so incredibly opulent and why it could, just for the money, just for the visuals, just for everything that you invest into just the ceremonies, how that could be like, girl, we just sprayed y'all with $10,000. You can't leave this man like yes,
we the guests.
And that's what you see, and that's just what you see on the outside. But when you peel apart all the fanfare and everything in our culture, it's the marrying of 2 families. So it's both sides come together and they're extremely invested in your union. So that's why like my wedding had 700 people there. Lara's wedding had how many? Like 6 something. So our weddings are enormous because it's literally everybody that my uncle has ever met, everybody that my auntie has ever met, everybody that my husband's church, my mother-in-law's church members. Everybody is coming because it is a community event. Marriage is so core to community for us. So it's not 700 people. Yes.
It's like
that's when
700 people. Yes.
That's like when you really looking for venues, like venues.
Oh yeah,
like, to hold all these people.
You can't just roll up and say, oh, I want to have a 200. Like it's going to be war. Like my brother did that. Like he had a smaller wedding that was like 300 guests, and it was. My mom is like, people are not talking to me, so I will not answer my calls anymore. And it's because people take it so personal because they look at like I used to go to church with you. I knew you when you were 10.
Right.
The wedding, you know. So it's like when we think of marriage, it's not just I found this boy that I love and I'm getting married to him. It's like no, I'm building like this is I'm adding a pillar to our community through our marriage. And so it's our mothers, our mother-in-laws, my mother-in-law, my mother, their friends. They send each other birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. They call each other. They talk on the phone. So it's very integrated. So that could be part of the reason why it's possible that this girl, her friend, could go to her mother and tell her mother, and her mother be like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't mind. That's what men do. Like, you know what I'm saying? He'll stop one day. We went to a bridal shower. Like, we went to a bridal shower with one of our friends. And this is a long time ago. I don't know if you were there. But the mother was talking about, the mother of the bride was like, your daddy, he used to mess around. But, you know, as he got older, he behaved himself. And now we're happy. So it is somewhat to be expected. And I see someone in the comments said maybe cheating is not a deal breaker. And that's also very possible because me and Lara were talking about this. Like our parents' generations were polygamous. our grandparents' generation were polygamous. So my grandfather had 4 wives. Lara had a grandfather that had 3 wives. My husband's grandfather had like 17 wives. Like he had a whole rack of wives. And so it's something that just our parents' generation is the one that has like broken the polygamous, vibes.
Right.
Like my dad only had 1 wife, Lara's dad only had 1 wife, my father-in-law only has 1 wife. So it's kind of like new, but it's like our generation is like trying to bring it back.
Absolutely.
So true, because it is trying to make a little comeback. It really is.
It's creeping up in there a little bit.
In an ethical way. Like the girl that was doing my lashes, she was like, a Nigerian man was trying to holler at her, and she had to like press him if he had a wife. She was like, "Do you have a wife?" And he was skirting around the conversation, and she was like, "If you cannot answer this question, yes or no, I will block you." And she had to block him because he would not answer. So that I'm telling her like he has a wife, So it is something that so it's something that is. I don't know. I just went all over the place with your question. I'm sorry.
No, you gave so much backstory, and that's what we want to understand. Because I mean, you take a Black American like myself or Dre, who's married, and I think in the Western world, while we value marriage, I think that we tend to be a lot more quick to be like, well, it's not working out, let's just end it, even though it's marriage. And I think when you explain how invested, like you said, they are incredibly invested in your union. This is not just you and him are getting married. This is my family is marrying your family. And this is something that I think even in the positive ways, because I'm sure you all can speak to this, if you are having challenges in your marriage, or even if it's not with one another, it's just in life. Maybe you're trying to have a baby. Maybe you do have babies and you need help. Nigerians tend to be real deal community. Like, we are going to take care of you. You need money, you need a sitter, what do you need? Like, I have friends who still take care of their families who are still living in Nigeria. Like, it is a responsibility. It is not you can't say I don't have it. You gonna figure out how to have it, because it is a very, very close-knit community. And I think this is a huge part of it for her. It's not just, oh, he's cheating and I really could just leave because I have my own life and I have my career. It is like, no, like, my family might have a problem with me trying to leave this marriage, even knowing all of these things that are happening within it, because it can be so culturally accepted. So perfect that you gave a lot of that backstory. Yeah. So I want to kind of get into like, when she said it's a reality show waiting to happen, when you think about, like Dre said, the embarrassment that can come with this, and like, how do you really approach it? Is number one, infidelity a deal breaker for you two? And Dre and I will chime in on that as well. And also, if it's not, or even if it is, if it comes up in your relationship, what are some best practices to approach it, no matter what your ultimate plan is? If your ultimate plan is still to leave, what do you do when the mistress reaches out? What do you do when Barbara calls Shirley and it's like
woman to woman?
Yeah. Like, what how do you?
Somebody has to die. I don't know who, but someone.
I know who.
Somebody losing their life.
Everybody's got
it. Hit my chest. You said when it's a mistress call.
A mistress.
Like, you don't even want to think like that, right? I know you don't even want to.
Yeah, I can't wrap my mind around that.
But
Lara, you go ahead.
Because she wants the steps. Let's start there. Is it a deal breaker?
For me, like, and I've joked around with my husband about this. I'm just like, just don't let it get back to me, So it's like, the minute it gets back to me, it becomes a deal breaker. Like, it's one of those out of sight, out of mind things. Because I've been with him for 20 years at this point. Like, I've known him for 20 years. So it's kind of like, I mean, if you, there's one I would understand, But the minute somebody comes to me because for me, it's the mortification of it. Like, I am who I am, and I have so much value and self-worth in myself. So for the fact of someone to feel like they can come and talk to me about just talking about it gets me upset.
Yeah, it doesn't even make sense.
Just that for me. It's the embarrassment. It's the someone feeling like they have something that is that I cherish so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's too much for me. Lara, is
Yeah.
it
And
for you?
I'm just gonna just piggyback off what you said, like really quick, because you just said like you joked about it. You were like, just don't let it come back to me. And unfortunately, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of like just culturally, that is like the mentality. It's
Yeah.
like do what you do, but just don't let it get back to me.
Boys will be boys type.
Boys will be boys. The guys will always be the guys, as long as they don't get anybody pregnant. All of that kind of lingo. And it's like, yeah, no, like no, not too much.
Not at all.
I'm blessed with a husband who loves being at home.
Yeah,
Like
stays inside.
just loves being inside. He don't he don't care for any of this stuff out there. So it's like one of
Yeah.
those things I have very much comfort in, knowing that like it's very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. But I do feel like just, from a clinical lens, like just being a psychologist, I feel like I am more prone to grace because I do feel like there are just certain situations you just never feel like you're ever going to find yourself in
Yeah.
until you do find yourself in, right?
Correct.
And so that's why I'm the type of person that says like never say never, right? It might be not to say I'm trying to get beat, trying to get hit, that I've been, none of that, but just like you never know. And then you think again, like Dre said, about all of the good things that you've been through with the person. And if it's been something small, not saying infidelity is small, but if something small that's been like that can be redeemed with like rebuilding of trust and things like that, then I feel like I'm more open to forgiveness. That's just me, because I do feel like there's a difference between somebody who has a lapse in judgment and a person who knows what they're doing and plan to do it again, just trying not to get caught the next time. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a
They
difference.
call them a serial
That's
cheater.
serial cheaters, right? And I feel like there's a difference, right? And I feel like to the man out there or to the woman out there, right, who, whatever got the best of them and something happened and they're like, I'm never doing this again, and the person wants to work with them and they forgive, then yes, I feel like it's not a deal breaker, because I feel like these 40-year marriages, these 50-year marriages, when they say we've been through some stuff, a lot
They've
of
been through
times
some
it's the
stuff.
stuff they've been through. They've been through this. You know what I
A lot
mean?
They've
of
been through
times.
this exactly.
And so and that's not to say that it's not, you can't come out on the other side, right? But I do believe with that, I wrote it down like you were talking, right? And the first thing I wrote was effort, because there's got to be effort on both sides if you're going to come out of that. That's the part that's kind of the work. It's like you've done the do, but now like recovering from it, I think is even the harder part. So
Yes, it
to
is.
me, I definitely think you can come from it. I'm not saying I want it to ever happen. But I'm not saying it's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
I
and I think that's what, like, I love what you said at the end, Lara, because I think that's what this story is missing. Like, we didn't get the after the confrontation, and does he,
Is
does
he
he say
remorseful? Like,
remorseful? Does he want to work on things? Like, all we're getting is that he has one foot already out the door, and
because
that's
I feel like a
why,
guy will also tell the mistress whatever she want to hear too. Like,
of
I'm trying to
Very
get
course.
true.
some, so I'm gonna leave my
Yeah.
wife. I don't even love her.
Oh
Da, da, da,
yeah,
da.
you hear about that all the time.
But
Yeah,
low key, he's not leaving his wife. Like,
he's never
No,
you
leaving his
know,
wife. Very
everything always
rarely.
good with the mistress because
yeah,
you ain't gotta go through stuff with the mistress. The mistress
right,
is
Yeah,
yeah,
fun. The
it's
yeah.
the
It's
fun
mistress,
fun.
times.
the
Yeah.
mistress is the
Not a long time.
companion. The mistress is
Mm-hmm.
not the partner. The partner is the one you
Correct.
got to have tough conversations with. You got to figure out
Mhm.
money things with. How we gonna handle this with the
Mhm.
home? The
Correct.
companion is the person we just having fun. We just
Yeah.
going to the
We kicking
movies.
it.
We doing this. We kicking
She
it. We
getting on
going
my
on
nerves. Oh,
vacation.
is she? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like none of that
Why
is part of it.
y'all get
And
me with the mistress? Like, that's just so that's just so nasty. But keep going. Sorry, Dre.
And
Oh
no, I just want to hear in the chat because I think you brought up a great point. And I think Rhonda I talked about this on a previous episode. It's like,
Yeah.
what is a worse cheater, right? Like a serial cheater, like a
yeah.
serial cheater who had like a connection with somebody versus like somebody who had a lapse in judgment, right?
Yeah.
And I remember on one episode I gave a devil's advocate, and I want people in the chat to answer this because it's like I always thought, right, that like, oh, the serial cheater is the worst, right? And then the lapse in judgment, that's fine. But then you could look at it another
It
way and
ain't
say
never
the
fine.
person that has, I mean, not fine, but like, it's
We
It's
can
a
work. We
little
can work
better,
it's
is
a
towards
what
little
he's
It's
better.
saying.
better, right? It ain't
Yeah.
never
Like we can get
fine.
over
You
that.
can come back from
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I started to think, I'm like, well, maybe it's like the one who had the lapse in judgment, typically that person just has a lack of self-control, right? It's like I was presented with something and I couldn't stop myself from doing this. And a lot of times a serial cheater, especially with somebody, can sometimes come from a lack of something in their own situation. And then they begin to have an emotional relationship with somebody, and then it became physical. So maybe the serial cheating situation with an individual is easier to fix, because maybe if we put back in what was lacking, then we can get back to a point of being okay. But with the person who is just lapsed in judgment, it's like, oh, you really just don't got self-control. So we could be good, everything could be fine, you could love me, but if you see something that you like, you can't control yourself, and then you end up sleeping with somebody that you ain't supposed to sleep with because you can't control yourself. It's like almost, if we were working through therapy, I'd rather be the situation where it's like, you didn't give me quality time, and you weren't around, and you didn't love me in my love language. Like, I feel like that might be easier to work through than, yeah, I just got a problem, like I can't control myself. Like, what do y'all think?
Yeah, I think I agree with I like that that spin on things, because I always like hearing things from different perspectives. But I think for me, the difference between the serial cheater and the lapse in judgment is that the lapse in judgment like catches themselves, I would say. I mean, depending on how it comes out, like, did you come to it like, baby, I messed up, or did you get caught? Like, it depends on how it comes out. But it's like this. It's like the lapse in judgment guy, or sorry, girl, guy or girl comes comes out, and they're like, this only happened one time, and I felt terrible about it, and I want to fix this. Versus the serial cheater is like, you wasn't even trying to fix what was going on at home, or if you were, you ain't get my attention, something. Because I feel like if somebody knows that their spouse is having a full-blown outside affair, I think that would wake you up a little bit. Like, oh, I wasn't. Do I need to do more? What more do you need from me? Yeah, like, just let me know. It shouldn't get that far. You would hope it doesn't get that far. That's why we talk about communication so much.
Right.
Check us out. We talk about communication. We talk about how to fight fair, how to fight clean.
That's
like, there's
right.
so many steps that you can get to before you get to that. Like, sorry.
Yeah, see, I think when it comes to this, right, it's too many nuances for me to say. And I think this is how I answered it when we talked about it on a previous episode. I would have to understand the nuances around what we're talking about as a lapse in judgment versus serial cheating, because, and I love that Kim B said this, because this is where I am with it. Situations indicate a lack of self-control, right? Like, I think the serial cheater also lacks self-control, because even if it is attributed to deficiencies or voids in the home or in the marriage or in the relationship, one, are they communicated? Have you put forth a great grand effort to say, like, before you've gone out and cheated, like, this is how I'm actually feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually feeling like I'm close to it. I'm feeling like I feel like I need this void filled, and I feel like I'm gonna feel it on the outside if we can't make improvements here. So you had that option, and maybe or maybe not, you didn't take it. Taking it to the next level, it just to go and get it from somebody else when you've made a commitment to someone, and then you're getting it over and over and over again, says to me you strongly lack self-control, and you in fact might be someone that needs to be in a more fluid or open relationship dynamic, because as soon as something isn't happening in the home, that's not a pass for you to just go get it from outside. And if you want that, I think that's some of the benefits of polyamorous or polygamous relationships, that all of the responsibility of providing whatever your needs are don't come from one person. It comes from a shared experience. Oh, you too tired tonight? No worries. I'll go check with the other 3 wives or the other 2 husbands and see if I can get it from over there. You know what I mean? So I think they both indicate a lack of self-control and a lack of respect. But Dre, I do understand what you're saying, because for me, it's more of what did the affair entail? Was it more of I don't even really know this person. I couldn't even probably tell you their name. we just slept together and it was that? Or is this a deep connection that also
Correct.
encompasses sex? Like, are you talking on the phone regularly? Are you exchanging pictures? Is it text messages? Are y'all dating? And on top of that, you're sleeping together. That to me is more than cheating. That is you
Yes, a
developing a full-on
relationship.
relationship. Like, you are creating a polyamorous relationship without my consent. That's basically what you're doing. And I've been cheated on in that way. And that was, it was no easier for me to deal with than the boyfriend who was like, oh, it was wild and we had fun and I was out with the boys and we all just did a thing, or I just did a thing because the girl was cute. It didn't actually make me feel any bad. Both things hurt me deeply. I was able to work through the relationship, but obviously not long term. I really couldn't get over the cheating. I really couldn't let it go. I could try to manage it, but even trying to reconnect intimately with them was hard. Like, Lara, you talked about that recovery.
Yeah.
Like, your mind is so, y'all remember, I'm sure everybody here has seen The Best Man, the original Best Man.
The best movie ever. Yes.
Okay. Like,
Absolutely.
Lance is like having these visions
Flashbacks.
of what he wrote, of what Tay Diggs' character wrote in the book. It's like, I'm trying to have sex with my wife, my now wife, but I
This is
keep
what I'm
seeing her
saying.
having sex
Right.
with you because I know
Yeah.
you cheated on me with you.
Yeah.
That was really happening to me. That was absolutely happening to me, where I'm just like, all I keep getting is visions of you doing the things that you did. And so I think cheating is one of the greatest violations of a relationship. And at this point, for me, it would be a deal breaker pre-marriage. Now, post-marriage, I did take deep vows and I want to take them super serious. And unfortunately, sometimes infidelity is a part of that worse, the for better or worse. But it would take so much work, and I would have to really believe that it's something that you're putting behind you. I would have to take the Teddy and Tina Campbell approach. You can't have nothing to yourself. We sharing an Instagram page.
Everything.
I got access to all your
Christina Campbell,
who's texting
Tina was
us
on his neck.
See,
on
I
his
can't do
Yeah.
that. I
I
can't
Tina
do
know,
that.
was
I
on his neck.
know.
So see, that's why I mean, I like to stir the pot, so that's why I just
Yeah,
asked
stir
that
it on
question.
up. Stir it on up.
I always like to provide different perspectives and see what people's reactions are. Like for me, I'm terrified of cheating. Like it just
Good boy.
it is
That's what we want.
it disrupts my whole entire life. Like, I mean, outside of this, is like a lot of people know my wife and I, and it's like I go out to places. I in the business that I'm in, I do a lot of networking, different cities, different places. But people know my wife and I, and it's like I don't want to ever have her in a position to where she looks stupid in front of somebody, right? So I'm not going to put that in jeopardy. But then also, it's like if I were to do something, I have a very popular reel that kind of went viral around me talking about why I wouldn't cheat. But it's like, for me, my whole life would completely be disrupted. Like every single part of it. Like not only just the brand that we have, but I enjoy a certain level of freedom that I love. Like, especially because the industry that I'm in entertainment. I cut a lot of deals. Sometimes deals are done at the strip club. Like I ain't trying to be there, but like that's just sometimes the world that we live in sometimes. And and that's the most extreme, but deals are often done not in the office, right? They're done in settings that a lot of people are around and you're conversing with so maybe a celebrity who is a woman that is attractive, or just normal people just being out. And I'm glad that I have the freedom. My wife is so trusting that she allows me to operate in the space that I operate because she's confident in our relationship. And I feel the same way with her.
That's right.
So it's not even just the embarrassing her, disrupting my life, but it's also like me having to now be in this point to where I'm like on a chain essentially, because I've shown myself not to be a real short leash because I've shown myself not to be trustworthy. It's like all my boys' nights gone. Hey, you want to go to LA to go see the fight? Gone. Like you want to like everything is gone. And it's like,
I'm going. Do you have my ticket as well?
The question you have to ask is for what?
Yeah.
For what?
For
Like, was it
what?
worth it?
Was it worth
Right?
it?
Like
And
that's
Yeah.
you have to ask
it's
yourself, was it worth
it
it?
probably is not 100%.
Not probably. It's not.
It's
It's
not.
100% of the
not.
time it's not, like, it's not worth it. And then, like I've said in the video, it's like, okay, what if I do it once? What if I like it? Now I gotta start lying and sneaking around and like trying to figure out how to
Pressure.
do this and do that, and like then it
I
just
like
gets
this.
super messy. And the thing is that, like, we all think we good. I mean, if you got a really a partner who just don't pay attention to you at all, maybe you can get away with it. But for the most part, that people start getting real messy the more they get involved in it, and it's like
Yeah.
you're gonna
Absolutely
end up
She
correct.
slipping
asked
up.
she asked to hold your phone, to use your camera as a mirror,
And you
and you
like this,
start
and you scrambling because you
sweating.
can't give her
Like, hold on,
permission.
hold on, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. And
it's not
I've,
worth
for those
it.
of you that might be new here, I've been honest about the fact that I've cheated before, and I can tell you it is not something that I would ever do again. And I know as you're supposed to never say never, but it's not even just about like blowing up your life, right? Or embarrassing your partner. It actually doesn't feel good. It's like it feels good in the moment, right? Like it is what it is. It certainly
Yeah.
feels good. But that guilt that you're walking around with, that icky feeling inside of you, that fear that you're walking around with about getting caught, like constantly, like if your partner's like, let me use your phone, you're like, oh my God, did I delete all the text messages? Did I erase the pictures? Well, let me put it on do not disturb before I hand it to him so nothing pops up, or I gotta hide the person's name under something else.
Yeah.
It takes so much out of you as an individual to have to keep up with an affair, even if it's something that's ever so often, or it was that one time. You really don't know. And today technology is so advanced. It is so advanced. You may think that you're giving somebody a fake name, but they could take a picture of you and plop your butt right in Google and find everything about you just like that.
Where you
They can
live, your
find
mama
you on
name.
all of that. They can find you on social media. They can see that you're married. So like
Yeah, it
Dre
wasn't like back in the day and in like the 80s, they got a kid in 3 different cities because
exactly.
you ain't,
Not
No,
today.
you never
you
know.
ain't never
Because you don't
know.
got the beeper number.
Ain't no
You ain't got the
ancestry doctor.
number.
Yeah, none of that. Yeah.
You don't have none of that. So it's a you don't want to hurt the other person. And I think most people truly don't, and they don't tend to think about it right when they're doing it. But at this a part of my life at this age, I don't even want to do that to myself. I feel like I'm demoralizing me. I am questioning I'm putting my own worth in jeopardy by giving my body or my time to someone that I'm not actually committed to. So it's just not worth it. I can barely keep up with my schedule with just the one man I'm supposed to be with. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
now having to remember to text the side man, and
It's just
it's no way.
Yeah.
It's absolutely no way. So for me, cheating is a deal breaker for myself. I'm holding myself to a certain moral compass that I don't want to do that. So if I'm holding myself to that high regard, I need a partner that's going to hold himself
do
to
the
that regard. And
same. I
whatever
love
keeps
that.
you disciplined, if it's your God, if it's your culture, if it's the fact that you don't want to embarrass me, if it's the fact that you don't want to die young, I'm cool with whatever keeps you from cheating on me.
But
It's
the
like,
thing
put it
is,
all together.
Yeah,
though, when you set your boundaries, you gotta stand on them. And that's
that's right.
probably what we dealing with in this situation, right? You can't be like, I ain't never gonna take no back. They cheat, don't cheat on me, don't do this, don't do that. But the moment somebody do it, you take them back like it ain't nothing, it ain't no issue. You setting a new standard and boundary in your relationship.
Yep.
So if you saying this ain't acceptable, you need to stand on it no matter how hard that's gonna be to walk away from that
Maybe
situation.
It's
Absolutely.
great, Dre. Such a perfect segue because Laura, I want to talk about from a clinician as a psychologist. There's so much mental warfare with people today, just in us trying to take care of our own mental health, trying to protect and put boundaries around people penetrating our mental health. When you think about this situation, again, assuming that the best friend is being very honest and this is truly happening to this woman in this situation, like think of her as your client. Like, how are you advising her, right, to take care of herself? Talk to us about like what the mental, like the anguish that this would be causing to a woman that's in this situation, not only by herself, but also trying to conceive in this time.
Well, number one, I would ask her about her mental state and even wanting to conceive. I would ask her to kind of go through that process to see if that is necessarily the priority in this like if you're thinking about a list of priorities, having a child, fixing my marriage, deciding if I want to stay married, depression, I would want her to really decide if having a child was even priority number one, because I think that that was something that was discussed, that she was trying to conceive, that was she did surgeries and things like that. But is that, with all this new information that you now have about your husband possibly wanting to leave you, you not being able to conceive, likely you being in a depression, not being able to trust your husband, is having a child at the top of the list, right? I
Yeah.
would want her to assess that, number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would want her to assess her level of depression, because this is likely something that is causing depression, right? For the fact
Mhm.
that other people know. I think Dre mentioned like the grieving what you thought you had, like grieving, I thought I had a healthy marriage, grieving, I thought I
Yeah.
had a faithful husband, grieving, I thought I had the perfect life or was going to have the perfect life.
Yeah.
That is it. That's a big thing that has to be considered. Um, but then taking it one day at a time, number one, because nothing's going to be fixed overnight.
Yeah.
For me, anytime I talk to couples about divorce, the question is, number one, do you want to stay married? So this is outside of whatever the issue is. He don't cook, he don't clean, he cheated, she cheated, whatever. Do you want to stay married? Right?
Mhm.
Why do you want to stay married? What are the reasons you want to stay married? Are these reasons for yourself, or are these reasons for other people?
Yeah.
Right? So now you've determined that there's some level of you that wants to stay married because I love this person. I do like the family, I mean the life that we built together. He is a great person. I've determined that maybe the cheating was only one time. Don't sound like it, but whatever, right? All of these
Yeah.
things have now happened, and now there's intrinsic motivation for you to say I want to stay married. Then from there, the question is, are you willing to rebuild trust? Because like you were talking about, I don't even think it's the I don't even think it's the like the fact, oh, this person was intimate, I'm getting flashbacks. It's if I'm choosing to trust you, if I'm choosing to
Mm.
trust you, that means I'm choosing to move past this. Not that I've
Yeah.
forgotten it, not that I'm saying not that I've excused or said what you did is right or wrong, but I'm choosing to move past this for us in order for us to get to a better place, right?
Yeah.
And then the onus really is on the partner as well. There's a role that the partner plays.
Yeah.
I think Dre was saying, like, I don't want my freedom taken from me. You don't get that choice no more if you cheated. You don't get that
Yeah.
choice. Your
Mhm.
sorry means absolutely nothing. If you're trying to rebuild and you also are saying, I want forgiveness, it is now on you to do every and anything you need to do to make your partner comfortable with
Yeah.
this new terrain that you guys are kind of are stepping in. Meaning, if I need to have if your phone location needs to be on, if I need access to your phone, if I need to know where you are, if I need you to check in every hour on the hour, those are conversations that need to be had to ensure your mental health, like your sanity, right? Because I'm sure your mind is wandering, and
Mhm.
the minute the person steps out the door, right? Woman or girl, a woman or a guy, like, where are you going? You said you're going to be home at 10 o'clock. It's 10:05. Where were you? So all of those things need to happen. So like, if the person is willing to stay married, then I think it is a day by day process. I don't think there's any
Yeah.
one thing that that's going to be surefire that's going to make this person want to stay married. But I
Yeah.
think that the person has to be willing to say, all right, I accept that this person has cheated. I'm choosing to stay. And now I'm going to actively do what I need to do to get to a place where I can now trust this person again. And that is an individual process.
Mhm.
However, the partner plays a very, very important supporting role in that.
Yeah.
Um, and lastly, I would say that obviously there are going to be the things like distractors that you would do, the day to days to kind of get you through the day, hanging out with people that you love, reading, like if you're a believer, like your foundation, using your foundation. So whatever those things are, those pillars are to
Yeah.
help you stay grounded is necessary. But
Mhm.
it's a long road. It's a really long road when it comes to infidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Maybe
got a
any
question based
Go
off
ahead.
of one thing you had said, like, is especially in reference to this scenario, when I think of like the more traditional way of thinking when it comes to role of men, role of women in a relationship, right? Across pretty much every, I mean, if you take it down to our most animalistic like ways, it's like men provide, and a primary job maybe of a woman is to bear children, right? Do you think that in this she could be internalizing like all these things are happening is almost my fault because I can't conceive and give him a child? Like, do you think that that could be some of what she's feeling in this scenario?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I'll say it again. We go back to that cultural element, right? Where that is like, it is like you sign on the dotted line. At your reception, your parents are telling you, go to your marital bed and go have a child. Go get me pregnant. Go
My
get us some grandkids
my
right now.
mother-in-law ripped, like, she told me to rip off my birth
Go.
control patch. She pulled, like, take it off.
Yeah. So like
Like,
that is, yeah, that I'm sure culturally that is a part of it, right? Like we are expected to have kids right away. Like
Yeah.
when we waited 3 years, and that was because me and my husband wasn't living in the same state. So no, we're gonna wait. And my mom was like, just get pregnant. It's gonna make things move faster. I'm like,
is it? Is that
one
right?
plus one equals two for sure here. Definitely equals two. You know
No,
what I mean?
it's
So it's like
crazy.
Mom math.
so I'm yeah, my
My
I
bad. It was both of y'all's hands being out the same. Go. Have the baby now.
like,
Goodbye.
please. So I
No,
feel
it's
Yeah.
like
true.
absolutely there's pressure. Like when you can't, because there's a difference between saying I don't want to have kids right away, right? And then
Yeah.
being ready to have kids, and then it's not happening when you want it.
Never
That
take
that,
my
that is
Mhm.
that
time.
that is it's a guilt, right? It's like maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe I didn't give it all. Maybe he's going out and he's cheating because I'm not able to give him a kid right away. So that process is, I'm sure it's there, and we've kind of seen it all too often as well. Like you take an X amount of years, the mother-in-laws are saying, "Go get somebody else. Go get somebody
Mhm.
else." Yeah,
Wow.
Mhm.
and I mean
Good
it's less than
Lord.
our generation,
Sure,
less
yeah.
than ours, but like yeah, we've seen this before. We've heard this before where it's like she's not giving you a child, something's wrong with her. Go
Yeah.
get somebody else pregnant, and it's okay because we need our child.
My
So that
my
is fair.
grandfather, my mom's dad got another wife because he didn't have any boys. Like he had 5 daughters, and it was like, you're not giving me a son, so I gotta try it. I gotta
So
try
he
it.
was like, "It's something wrong with you."
It's something wrong with you, even though, back then I
His
guess they
Y
didn't know much
chromosome.
about biology. Biology must not have been a thing. Because you weren't aware that you carry the X and the Y, sir. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
But it
different.
just,
Different for
it
sure.
just goes to these cultural expectations that are just sometimes really unrealistic and really unfair to women in some scenarios.
Yeah, yeah. It's so sad, right? Like in many ways, we can make it light and all, and levity is sometimes necessary to get through really tough times. But when you think about the idea of like really trying to conceive, and it's not an easy process, even when like things are like happy and good and you want it, it's a devastating experience. And Dre and Bree just went through this and were very honest about, through their pursuit of trying to have a baby, that they lost their first baby. And that's just a traumatic experience when things are good, when like there is no infidelity. It is very hard. And the last thing you want to have to deal with is we can't get pregnant, because it's not a I can't get pregnant thing, right? We
Absolutely.
can't get pregnant.
We
We aren't
can't.
Yeah.
conceiving the child. The last thing I want to deal with on top of that is like you cheating on me or you being disrespectful, because I'm going to always call a thing a thing. Cheating is a huge disrespect to the relationship,
Very
especially
much
to a
so.
marriage when you took vows to again agree to just be with one another. So it's like it's very selfish for
Yeah.
in a tough time as this. I've gone through surgery. And she even said like she's really into fitness. She seems to have it all going on. So
Mhm.
from all appearances, she's healthy. She
Yeah,
got married. She did it the right
right
way,
way.
and
Hmm.
still can't do this. And then on top of that, my man is running around telling the mistress that he wants to have a baby with her. It's like like I said,
Yeah.
the mental anguish has to
Yeah,
be staggering. Has to be
yeah.
staggering
Yeah.
I had
be
to
contributing to, like you said, Dre, what's happening biologically with her. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had to communicate that with my wife, and I'm glad. And I don't know, people may judge it or say, whatever, but I'm glad that I have, and my wife and I have the connection, first of all, to be able to communicate to one another. But I have the emotional intelligence to start to see how seeds of resentment can be planted. And you try to communicate to avoid those seeds of resentment being planted, right? And we also all have to educate ourselves, just like I think Brittany said, like, why does it always have to be the woman's fault? But I remember when my wife and I were talking about family planning, we were just talking about what we both desired. And she's terrified of like pregnancy and just the whole childbirthing experience, but she wants to have kids, but she wanted to wait like a lot longer. And I was like, I want to have biological children. She's okay with adopting, but I was like, I desire to have biological children. And I was like, I don't want to wait too long because I don't want to at some point resent you, because I feel like we're running into complications because of your age, because you chose to wait. And I was just like, and that's a real thing, right? So I communicated that to her because I don't resent her now. I'm not, having an issue with her now, but I can see how down the road, if we run into complications or have issues, like how I could start to resent her in that way, or feel like if we would have just tried earlier, I wanted to do it earlier, but you told me no. And it can become this whole thing. So I made sure that I communicated that, and we talked about it, and we put together a plan that we both felt comfortable with, into making it happen. And she told me what she would need from me to feel comfortable with it. Right. So it's like, that's the thing where you said we lost a baby or we are trying to have a baby. It's like, it's not just, my feeling of wanting to have that. It's like, what do you need from me and what do I need from you in order for us to come together and have this all make sense? Because this is a shared responsibility, a shared decision, and a shared gift from God, that we can enjoy for hopefully the rest of our lives. So we want to make sure we come to a consensus with this decision.
You got a lot of emotional intelligence, Dre.
Yeah, Dre, that's really good.
I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm being serious. Like, that's not really how quote unquote normal conversations go, right? It's like, we need to have kids now, or I want kids, and you're not giving me kids, and it's your fault that because we waited so late, and it's not. Or I want more kids. Like, we have this X amount, and now I want more kids, and you're not giving me that. And you don't even recognize that the resentment comes in because you just didn't get what you wanted. So I think that that's just great on your part, because that is not the norm. It's really not. It's not the norm.
And my scenario is actually exact opposite of what happened to y'all. That's all Lara nodding, because she knows, like, we had our one son, and then I was ready to have another kid 2 years after. And this might get a little, TMI, I guess, but I was obviously, normally everything was fine. And my husband was like, not yet. Like, we need to like re-up. We need to get a new house. We need to save up. Like, I'm not ready for a second. And I was like, my body was ready. But when he was ready and he was like, okay, we can start trying, my body wasn't ready. My menstrual disappeared. I was very irregular. At that time I was diagnosed with PCOS. And so it just got really hard for me to have a child. And the resentment was crazy. Like, I resented him real bad. And it was a real rocky time for us. And it wasn't until I had the baby, recovered, that I realized what had happened. So that's why I was saying that is very mature of you, because typically most people, including me, you let the resentment eat away at your relationship, and you don't even have those conversations or deal with what happened until after the case. I'm glad we were able to come back from that, but I think about what happens if I never got pregnant, or what happens if what if it was just a different outcome? Would I have been able to forgive him? Would we have made it past that? I'm grateful we didn't have to figure that out. But I really appreciate how you went about it with the plan and asking, what can I do to make you more comfortable? Because you didn't just put it all on her, right? You didn't just say, I need you to do this so I don't resent you. It was like, how can I help you? How can we do this together? And I just think that's just amazing. And sorry, and we wanted to say sorry for the loss, the loss of the baby. I know that was really hard. So
thank you.
Sending y'all a lot of love and prayers.
Thank you. And I'll say one more thing before we move on to the last part of this, but it's
Mhm.
like I like in communicating what I communicate with Bree, if we now that we're trying in the time frame we both agreed, and whatever God's plan for our life is God's plans for our life, and if having biological children is not in that plan, then I not it'll be sad, but I
Yeah.
would not resent my wife in that situation, right? Because we came together
Mhm.
and we decided what we were going to do, right? So
Mhm.
if it's our plan to adopt, then we're just going to adopt, and that's how
Mhm.
we're going to go about life. And but it's just like that's why I think in situations like this, it's important to communicate and to talk about things that can be difficult, to express your fear of a feeling you may feel in the future, which I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people don't do. Is
Yeah.
like, hey, if we continue down this path,
Mhm.
I fear that I might become this person, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel like we don't do that enough when we're having conversations with each other. So
Mhm.
yeah, we ain't talking to Mr. I mean, we ain't talking to Mrs. or Mr. in this scenario at all. We talking to the friend, but I would
Talking
love
to
to
the
be
Mhm.
able to
right.
talk to them too
But
and see if we can
you know, I
help
We
some
had a
love
things out.
to.
question. I'm like, what if homegirl is like asking for a friend and it's really her?
It's anything's
Mm.
possible, but here's what I will say based on see
Okay.
we can see a lot of information, right? Like we can see
Oh,
their
okay.
names, you know, they
Oh,
tell us that they don't
okay.
necessarily want to be their
Anonymous.
actual, yeah, they
Okay.
want to be anonymous. But when I say the friend sent the friend's name, the
Oh,
friend sent the friend's social media information.
Instagram.
I said, are you
That's
trying to get us to out this lady so she can leave this relationship? She's like, last
what it sounds like.
after
Yeah,
embarrass her for
she
me.
trying
She said, "I'm
everything. She
throwing y'all the
trying
alley oop,
everything.
please,
Like, please. So
please."
we
he like
we
talk about it so I can
redacted.
send her this video.
Yeah, we redacted all of the personal information because I
Oh
was like,
wow,
well,
I'm glad you
love, we didn't
did.
need to know who it actually was. Lord Jesus. Now, y'all know I went on over there like, wow, she's
It's like,
gorgeous.
oh,
That's
wow,
so
Right,
sad.
yeah,
like what a
that's
beautiful
nice.
girl.
Yes.
Like you
Yes,
deserve
Nice
more.
woman.
absolutely.
And we ain't trying to get
Absolutely.
sued
No, no,
Hello.
no, no,
for
no,
no
we are not.
defamation and all that. Nope, we
Right.
good.
'Cause I'm
No, no,
sure oh boy would have a problem with
yeah.
it.
No, we are
Bro.
not. And so like
Somebody said that's not your friend.
yeah, listen, it was a
It's all your
and
girl.
and and I can see how you can feel that way, and I'm not even suggesting that you're wrong, right? I'm really not. But I do think that sometimes like some friends are so deeply connected to their friends. Like
Yeah.
I was gonna
I
say in your
have
business.
friends, yes, but being in your business is a part of that deep connection. I have
Mhm.
some friends where I'm like, you're more upset than I am. I need you to turn it down. Like you said, Laura, like,
That's
bring it
me.
Bring
down,
it
baby. Like, if
down.
I'm not packing up my own stuff, you can't come to my house to pack up my stuff.
See,
Like,
that's me. I'll be like, don't call me no more then.
yeah,
That's what.
yeah, like
I want to solve the
exactly.
problem. I want to get the problem out of there. That's
Yeah,
me.
some
But go
people
ahead,
just get really like
Really
way too
invested.
yeah.
invested and like want
Mhm.
you to do what they want you to do. They want you to handle it the way they think that they would handle it, when the truth is sometimes you don't know how you would handle this because you're not in the situation. You're not
True.
married to my
Right.
husband.
True.
You're not trying to
Right.
have
True.
a baby. I don't even know if the best friend is in the same culture. Like I don't know that she
Yeah.
Mhm.
fully understands it. I know there have been times
Mhm.
where I've been really frustrated with my friends, but never do I like insert myself in their lives
Mhm.
in this way. I am very much like, hey, if you want my advice, cool. But if you don't want to take it, that's cool too.
That's
You know what I
cool
mean?
too.
Like
Yeah.
if your situation becomes too much for me, I'll remove myself. I don't
Yeah.
need to enforce what I would like for you to do on you. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
with that in mind, we're having to give advice to the best friend, right? We're not
Yeah.
giving advice to the woman in the situation. We're not giving advice to the man in the situation. So as good girlfriends who literally work together, their life together, you're raising your families together, like how do you help a best friend help her best friend in this situation?
What does your best friend need? Like, and I think she's laid
Mhm.
out all the facts. She's laid out all the things, the good, the bad, the ugly. But what does your friend want to do?
Yeah.
And you, from as a friend, can share your perspective. This is what I think. This is why. Um, I will pray with you. But ultimately, it is left for me to support my friend in whatever decision she chooses to make.
Yeah.
And if down the line things thrive, I'll be there to support her. And if things crumble, I'll be there to pick her up.
That's right.
That's
Because there's like, unfortunately, we, just like you said, Rhonda, like we can get so invested and we're like, wake up, like,
yeah.
come on. But it's
Yeah.
not, but we're not walking in anybody's shoes except our own, right? And so
Yeah.
you can get all the advice you want, but ultimately, if that is your best friend and you care and you support your friend, then you support her regardless of whatever decision she makes.
Yeah.
And you give her your perspective, you give her the why, but then you let her make her decision and what's best for her marriage.
Mm-hmm.
For real. That's good, Lara. And I feel like everybody needs friends like you. On my on my side, I
Sorry, Memi.
everybody does need friends. It's good to have balance because and I and I know
I'm
we're
sorry.
laughing.
I'm sorry. It was
Yo,
like,
Memi, you gonna change
friend,
one day.
we
Bless
all
your
need
heart.
friends like you. Bless your
We
heart. Now
all
let me
no,
tell
we
you what I'm gonna do.
However,
no,
right.
however, because and I know we're joking, but I think for me, and Lara's very much an empath as well. But I feel like I'm such an empath that it will make me physically sick. Like I won't be able to sleep. I'll be thinking about it all day because I've had friends that go through marital things and it takes a toll on me. So I feel like when I'm talking to someone and I see that if I see that you're trying to work on things and you're trying to and I'm seeing that it's going somewhere and I'm seeing that, oh, your husband is coming back in the house and he's apologizing and he wants to go to therapy, that's easier for me. But if it's like, okay, and it's like, okay, things are progressing in a good direction, it's like, okay, yes, like, good job, sis. You can do this. But if it's like he's still outside and you're still trying to have this baby and we're having this conversation and I'm like, sister, I think for your own mental health, for even thinking about the child that you want to bring the child that you want to bring into this life, let's say you do have a baby, what kind of lifestyle what are you bringing this child into? You're bringing this child into toxicity, essentially. And so it's like we're having this conversation and I feel like nothing is getting through to you, I will have to distance myself, like best friend or not. I will have to set boundaries around what we talk about, how much we have this conversation, because at the end of the day, I can only handle but so much as your friend. I can only watch my friend bring themselves like walk into the fire but so many times, and
I'm not
that's
telling my friend to walk into the fire though.
no, I know you're not.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I like your perspective because you're more like, I'm just going to support you. Like whatever you want to do, I'm going to support you, and I think that's good. And I feel the same way. I'm going to support, but I have to support from a distance.
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah,
I think that's
boundaries for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah,
I just need
absolutely.
boundaries for myself. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I literally agree with both of you. I think it's just
Mm-hmm.
about the timeline. And because I've always prayed to
Timeline.
God, and it only happened to me one time. I'd always pray, like, Lord, one, please don't allow me to ever be in a domestic violence situation. Like, because
Yeah.
I just don't want to feel it. I don't think any woman wants it, but I
Mhm.
very specifically have prayed that prayer. But on top of that, I
Mm-hmm.
said, please don't allow any of my friends to have to deal with that, because
Mhm.
the psychology behind
Oh
a
yeah.
DV
A
Victim.
victim
battered
Ooh.
woman
is the
Ooh, the
syndrome.
cycle and the
cycle of
cycle and the
abuse.
cycle. And I
Ooh.
am like, I would hate to have to be like, girl, if you don't run, like I'm the
Mm-hmm.
friend from enough. I'm gonna get the car. I'll find the person that got the license and the passports. We can get you out of here,
We gonna get
okay?
you out of
But
here.
if you
Please.
keep going
Yeah.
back, I would feel like I would have to be distant. I'm supporting
Yeah.
you through prayer. I'm supporting you through love. But
Correct.
as you
Yeah.
both said, boundaries. So it is about like, I support you and whatever you're doing, but if what you're doing starts to bleed into my comfort,
Mhm.
to my life, it is now having a strong impact on me, not because I'm too invested, but because you're dumping, you're calling
Yeah.
me, you're
Yeah.
making it my problem. Yes, I may have to push back a bit. Like,
Yeah.
Dre, I know that even you've had that, where you had not this same situation, where you just had a friend where it's like, at one point we was cool, everything was great, but then he started to move a certain way and you were like, the man that I'm becoming, the man that I am, we just can't be close anymore. Like, it's no
Mhm.
offense, but you've got to put your own mask on first. And I say that
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
Nobody's going to take care of you
100%.
like you. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I really understand both of your perspectives perfectly. And I actually think it's good advice to the best friend, period. Like really sit back and consider, what does your friend need? But also,
I love that.
if it's too much for you, it's too much for you. And you got to be honest about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Dre,
Yeah,
any
thank
last
you.
thoughts? Because she said, if this was your sister,
This
Dre,
was your
you the soul man on the panel. Bring it on home.
No, I agree with a lot of what everyone said. I mean, maybe a few years ago I would have reacted differently, but now through my experience, you know, I know it's a more measured approach because I know people in those situations don't listen. I've had plenty of homegirls. I know men who got homegirls to tell you that you can see right through the dude that she talking to, everything he doing, how he acting, how he moving, and you try to tell her, and she just don't want to listen, do she? She just
nope.
I know y'all all
But
been
he
there
cute
before,
though.
right?
He got a
Like
good
you just
job.
do not want to listen to your homeboy at all. But and I also tell women too, it's like even with men, it's like you can't make a guy ready. It has to be his decision to be ready. And I don't think that just applies to dating men. I think that applies in any situation with any person. Like you can try to convince them and tell them why this should be like this and why this shouldn't be like that. But it has to be their decision to walk away and their decision to, you know, not choose the situation that they're in. So I think you have to be there for them to pick them up, to give them what they need in a situation. But if this was my sister specifically in this situation, first I would really take a step back and try to figure out, how do I communicate what I need to say to her, right? Because we talk about this in relationships. Good communication isn't open communication. It isn't honest communication. Good communication is effective communication. And effective communication is the person receiving what you have to say. So I have to look at my sister and figure out, how can I give her this message in a way that she's going to receive it? Right. So that's going to take some time to figure that out. What setting we got to be in, what place we got to be in, how do I deliver it? Like all those things would go through my mind if that was my sister. I would express my love for my sister. I would tell her how much I care for her. I will also express my thought process on it and what I believe, but also say it's your decision to make. But I'm letting you know, if it reaches a certain point, I will intervene, regardless of what you say, because I'm your brother and I'm gonna make sure you good, right? And I think there are situations where you got to do that, for some intervene on somebody's behalf, right? Because they are in a state of mind to where they aren't really seeing the whole picture, right? Of what's actually going on. And sometimes you have to intervene, especially if it's something physical that's like going on, or somebody's, you know, well-being is at stake. So I just, and we're gonna take it to God too. We're gonna pray, right? We're gonna pray. We're gonna pray for sis too. Pray together, all those things. And then honestly, depending on the relationship, to be honest, and I feel like you could do this maybe bro to bro, and the friend probably wouldn't be in a position to do this. But you married my sister, we're gonna have a conversation. Right? Like at a certain point, I might
Dre
tell
sounding
sis,
real Nigerian, ain't he, y'all?
So we
all married you.
Nah, that's real. Cause like she coming back crying to me way too much, dog. Like way too much. Like we need to have a conversation. I need to know what's up. Like, I mean, this is the conversation you have in the beginning, but we might need to have this again. What's your intentions? Like what is going on? And the way that you respond to that is going to tell me a lot. And like I said, there might be some intervening that I do, right, on my behalf, that's not going to put my sister in this situation, regardless. And I hate to say regardless of what she says, but we're gonna have to have some conversations.
That's my brother right there.
Look, the bros is stepping up. The bros like, that's fine. Don't divorce him. I'll beat him up until he gets straight. Don't worry about it.
That's funny.
At Relationship Restored and Real Love Scenario, we do not support violence.
No violence.
We are violence free.
Okay, that's our disclaimer.
Unless you earn it. We we promote earned violence. If you earned it, you had it coming to you. Like, listen.
Hey now,
Yeah,
can't speak on
absolutely.
that.
Well, and before we have you all talk about all the wonderful things, I want you to talk about all the things that you're doing. I want you guys in the chat, I want you to give them so much love. So drop brown hearts for them.
See, I'm gonna cry. Let's
All
stop.
the hearts. We gotta
Aw.
see all the hearts for them. So talk to us about your podcast. Where can we watch it? Where can we listen? And anything that you're doing, all your stuff that you're selling. Because I got to get me some. I got to
Oh
get me
yeah,
some. I gotta get me a man first. And
that
then
man coming. We already talked about that. Your
yeah,
man
bring
coming.
him on,
So stop
please,
it,
girl. Let's
please.
go.
You can get the talks to weed them out. To
Yeah,
Low
that's
key.
it. I need it's a community effort, okay? Now that you're here,
Yes, we got you. We got you.
so I need you to keep your eyes open, okay? Keep your
You
ears
got you.
open. Find me
got
my
you.
husband, ladies. Okay, brown hearts, drop him in the chat. Guys, tell us, what do you have going on?
So, Marriage Pinnacle, we also have a podcast. Our podcast is called Chats from the Peak. And so it's very similar where we talk about all things marriage and healthy relationships. And we do it from a clinical lens, a cultural lens, and life experience. And we are focusing a lot on we felt like we talked enough. So we just trying to get more perspectives, more people to kind of Rhonda, already know we talked about, we got some
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
but yeah, so I just feel like we're just trying to get more perspectives because we are two wives, right? Who have been doing this thing. And so we just we feel like there's infidelity. That's a big one. You know what I mean? Like we can talk about it from our lens, but we haven't lived that, so it's important because these are things that people are really going through, you know what I mean? And so we have Chats from the Peak. We also have our conversation cards where we have a deck for married folks, and then we also have a deck for dating and engaged folks. You can get that at our website. We could drop the link in the chat, I guess. I think we can drop it in the chat. Let me do that. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we also have, so now we're also building our community. And so we are doing a lot more community-based events. We have Dinner at the Peak, which is coming up. We're going to be dropping the flyer for that soon, where it's just couples dinner, real intimate, 3-course meal, private chef, real cute date night experience. And we just, again, are trying to stay really busy and really trying to connect and build community because for us, community really is the hallmark of everything that we do. Like you have a healthy relationship, that's gonna extend to the community that you're in. That's gonna extend to the legacy that you leave. It's gonna extend to, just the world. So if we can kind of be any part of that, that's what we want to do. And so like we just love y'all platform, and we just know that we need more of this. Like there's so much toxic information about love and marriage and relationships, and we just need more platforms like ours that really want to promote providing healthy advice. Like we went through all the steps, and even if it is leaving, we went through the steps before we just said leave them. You know what I mean? And I feel like we need just more conversations centered around promoting healthy marriage and healthy love. So that's what we got. Marriage Pinnacle. Follow us, connect with us. Anything else you want to add, Mems?
We always do such a good job.
Yeah. We all need a friend like you, Dr. Lara. We do.
That's all we
We
need.
do. But
You know what I'm saying?
also link it. We'll also link your website in the video. So if you are listening right now, that means you're not here. You're in the replay gang. So it'll certainly be there. And make sure that we follow you. Where can we follow you guys on social media?
Social media, we're at Marriage Pinnacle on IG, we're at Marriage Pinnacle on TikTok and on Facebook, and we're at The Peak on Twitter.
Yes.
Twitter.
Y'all got so much. I hope you seeing all this love. Y'all got so much love. All the brown hearts and the red.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you guys. We had a good time.
To the bestie,
y'all set us up with this scenario though. Y'all set us up.
The scenario was wild. It was wild.
We throw you in the deep end. We might take it light on you the next time we bring you back. But we had to throw you in the deep end for sure. For sure. To the bestie who wrote in, we really hope we were able to help you. We would love an update. We would truly love an update on like how you're navigating this with your friend. But thank you so much for writing in. And of course, if you're new here, we're grateful that you joined us. Definitely stay connected to us. You can follow me on social media. I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
That's Dre Smith.
And at Relationship Restored on all platforms. And we will see you here next week. Same time, same place. Bye.
Peace.